Creatine. It's got to be one of the most researched, most popular, and, well, most misunderstood sports supplements on the entire planet. I mean, you see it everywhere, right? It's in the lockers of professional athletes, it's in the gym bags of high school kids just starting out. But all that popularity, it brings a whole storm of confusion, a ton of conflicting advice, and, let's be honest, a lot of flat-out misinformation.
So you've got these two completely opposite stories. On one side, you hear people hailing it as this miracle powder, a scientifically proven way to boost your strength, your muscle size, and even your brain power. But then, on the other side, you hear those whispers, those warnings that it's some kind of dangerous, unnatural substance, that it's basically one step away from being an anabolic steroid. So what's the real story? Where does the truth actually lie with this stuff?
Well, in this explainer, that is exactly what we are going to do. We're going to cut through all that noise, all that confusion. We are going to dive deep into the real science, look at the actual clinical data, and give you a clear, evidence-based guide to everything you really need to know about creatine. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide.
So here's our game plan. First up, we're going to cover the fundamental science, how creatine actually works as your body's own personal energy battery. Then we're going to tackle the biggest myth head-on, the whole creatine versus steroids debate. After that, we'll systematically debunk all the other health scares you hear about, from hair loss to kidney damage. Then we'll get practical. We'll compare getting creatine from food versus a supplement before giving you a complete user's guide on how to actually take it. And we'll wrap up by exploring the most exciting stuff, the powerful benefits creatine has for your brain and for long-term health.
All right, let's kick it off. Section 1, the body's energy battery. Look, to really get what creatine is all about, what it does, why it works, and especially why it's so safe, we have to start with the absolute basics of how your body produces energy. Understanding this is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
Let's talk about a little molecule called ATP. That's short for adenosine triphosphate. Now you can think of ATP as the literal energy currency of your body. It's not like the food you eat, which is kind of like money in the bank. No, ATP is like the cash in your wallet. It's the direct, high-octane fuel that powers pretty much everything your cells do. When you sprint, when you jump, when you lift a heavy weight, that immediate explosive power comes directly from ATP.
So here's how this whole energy cycle works. It's actually pretty cool. Imagine your muscle is like a smartphone. When it's fully charged, it's full of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, meaning it has 3 phosphate groups. Now, when you do an intense set at the gym, your muscles spend that ATP for energy. In that process, one of those phosphate groups breaks off to release the energy, and you're left with ADP, adenosine diphosphate, with only 2 phosphates left. Your phone battery is now dead. The problem is, your muscle only has a few seconds of ATP at any given time, so it needs to recharge, and it needs to do it fast. This is where creatine comes in. Think of the creatine stored in your muscles as a portable charger you've got plugged in. It's just sitting there holding on to a spare phosphate group. It sees that low battery ADP molecule and boom, it instantly donates its phosphate, recharging it right back into a full power ATP molecule. This incredible system basically turbocharges your body's ability to regenerate energy on the fly, and that's what lets you push out those extra 1 or 2 reps that are so crucial for getting stronger.
But that whole ATP energy cycle, that's only half the story. Creatine has a second really powerful way it works. As a molecule, it's what scientists call osmotically active. Now, in simple terms, that just means wherever creatine goes, water follows. So, when you supplement with creatine and you pack more of it inside your muscle cells, you are also pulling more water into those cells. This is called cell volumization, and it does 2 really important things. First, it gives your muscles a fuller, more pumped look. But more importantly, from a biological standpoint, this hydrated, swollen state actually sends a muscle-building signal to the cell. It's like telling the cell, hey, let's ramp up protein synthesis and slow down protein breakdown. You know, a well-hydrated muscle cell, just like a well-watered plant, is a cell that's perfectly primed for growth and repair.
Okay, let's move on and tackle the elephant in the room. This is, without a doubt, the single biggest source of fear and confusion around creatine. People hear the phrase increases muscle and strength, and their brain immediately and totally incorrectly jumps to anabolic steroids. So let's draw a very clear, scientifically backed line in the sand between these 2 things right now.
Listen, these 2 substances could not be more different in how they actually work. As we just covered, creatine is a fuel source. It works with the energy systems already inside your cells. It's a battery pack. Anabolic steroids, on the other hand, are synthetic hormones. They work by literally changing your DNA expression to force your body to build more muscle. And the results?
They're not even in the same ballpark. Creatine gives you a moderate, measurable boost in performance. Steroids can produce extreme, unnatural, and often really dangerous changes to your body. And finally, you've got the law. Creatine is a legal, over-the-counter dietary supplement you can buy anywhere. Anabolic steroids are Class 3 controlled substances, illegal to have without a prescription. They are in completely different universes, scientifically and legally. Period.
And here's the official word that should really put this whole debate to rest for good. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has given creatine monohydrate the official designation of GRAS. That stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. Now, this is not a label they just hand out lightly. To get GRS status, a substance has to be backed up by a mountain of scientific evidence and a long history of safe use. For creatine, we're talking about over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies spanning decades, all of them showing its high safety profile, even when you use it for a long, long time. The point is this: a substance the FDA officially says is safe is, by definition, not in the same category as an illegal drug.
And you can see that safety reflected in just how widespread its use is. Just take a look at the data for high school athletes. Surveys show that around 21% of male high school athletes and about 3% of female high school athletes say they use creatine to help with their training. This isn't some shady, back-alley substance being used in secret. It's a mainstream supplement that has been accepted and used safely by millions of people of all ages for years. Okay, so we've definitively put the steroid myth to bed. Now let's move on and tackle the other common health scares you've probably seen online or heard someone talking about in the gym. We're going to go through them one by one, look at where the fear comes from, and see what the actual science has to say.
This one is a biggie. For a lot of guys, the fear of losing your hair is more than enough to make you think twice about taking anything new. And this rumor has been incredibly sticky over the years. So, is there any truth to it? Is creatine really going to make you go bald?
So this entire global hair loss scare can be traced back to one single small study from back in 2009. In that study, researchers found that the group taking creatine had an increase in something called DHT in their blood. Now, DHT is a hormone that's linked to male pattern baldness, but only in people who are already genetically prone to it. But here are the crucial facts that always get left out of the story. First, the study reported zero actual hair loss. Nobody lost any hair. Second, even though DHT went up, it was still well within the normal, healthy clinical range. And third, in the 15 years since, no other study has ever been able to replicate that finding. It's a classic case of one tiny, isolated finding getting blown way out of proportion and creating a ton of fear with very little fact to back it up.
Okay, this is probably the second most common myth out there, right alongside the old debunked idea that high-protein diets are bad for you. It's a fear that sounds kind of plausible, so it's stuck around for a long time, but again, when you actually look at the science, it just falls apart.
The confusion here boils down to two words that sound almost identical: creatine and creatinine. Creatine is the supplement you take for energy. Creatinine is the harmless waste product that's created when your body uses creatine. This creatinine then gets filtered out of your blood by your kidneys. Now, doctors use blood creatinine levels to check kidney function. The logic is that high levels could mean your kidneys aren't filtering waste properly. But when you supplement with creatine, you are simply giving your body more raw material, so you will naturally and predictably have higher levels of its byproduct, creatinine, in your blood. This is not a sign of kidney damage. It's just the expected result of having more creatine in your system. It's like seeing more smoke coming out of a chimney because you added more wood to the fire. It doesn't mean the chimney is broken.
And the final common myth we're going to bust today is the idea that creatine causes muscle cramps and dehydration. The logic, on the surface, kind of makes sense. If creatine is pulling water into your muscle cells, it must be pulling it away from other places, right?
Well, while that logic seems plausible, the actual clinical research points in the exact opposite direction. A whole bunch of studies, many done on athletes training in intense heat, have found that creatine supplementation either has no effect on cramping and dehydration, or it actually has protective effects against them. It turns out that having better hydrated muscle cells actually helps your entire body stay better hydrated. But that said, if you just want some simple peace of mind, a great rule of thumb is to drink an extra 12 ounces of water for every 5 grams of creatine you take. It's an easy way to make sure you're hydrated and put this myth to rest for good. We're about halfway through, and I just want to say thanks for sticking with me on this deep dive. If you're finding this valuable, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide. Okay, let's move on.
All right, so we've established that creatine is effective, it's safe, and we've busted the major myths. So the next logical question is a practical one. Can I just get all the creatine I need from the food I eat?
Let's break down the realities of trying to do that.
So the standard dose to get the full benefits is about 5 grams a day. Your body naturally makes about 1.5 grams on its own. To get the rest from whole foods, you would have to eat an absolutely ridiculous amount of meat. I mean, look at this chart. To hit that 5-gram total, you need to eat over a pound of herring, or 1.6 pounds of steak, or a crazy 3.4 pounds of chicken every single day. The cost would be insane, easily hundreds of dollars a month. Now compare that to a single 5-gram scoop of creatine monohydrate supplement, which costs what, like 67 cents? When you look at it this way, from both a practical and a financial standpoint, supplementation is really the only logical way to go.
All right, so you're convinced. You get the why. You understand the science, the safety. Now let's get into the how. Think of this section as your complete user's manual for picking the right creatine, dosing it, and getting the absolute most out of it.
Okay, first choice you'll have to make is what type of creatine to get. The two most common are monohydrate and HCl. Creatine monohydrate is the original, the classic, the gold standard. It's the one they use in almost all of those 1,000+ studies. HCl is a newer version that's more soluble in water, which means it might be absorbed a bit more easily so you can take a smaller dose. Now, the main drawback of monohydrate is that for about 15% of people, it can cause a little bit of bloating or stomach upset. If that's you, switching to the more soluble HCl will probably solve that problem. For everybody else, monohydrate is the most proven and the most cost-effective option, hands down.
Next, you've probably heard about a loading phase. Let's be really clear here. This is completely optional. It's just a way to get results faster. Loading means you take a much higher dose for about a week, usually 20 to 25 grams, split up into smaller doses. This will saturate your muscles with creatine much more quickly. The alternative is to just start with the daily 5-gram dose. You will get to the exact same place, it'll just take a little longer, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. So if you've got a competition coming up or you're just impatient, loading makes sense. Otherwise, there's absolutely no need to do it.
All right, let's do a quick rapid-fire round of your top questions. Best time to take it? Honestly, doesn't matter. Pre-workout, post-workout, morning, night. The only thing that matters is consistency. Just take it every single day. Do you need to cycle off of it? Nope. That's an old myth. The research is clear that continuous, long-term use is totally safe and effective. How much weight will you gain? Expect about 2 to 3 pounds of water weight right at the start. Over the next couple of months, you might see a total gain of 4 to 5 pounds as you build new muscle. And finally, how much stronger will you get? The science consistently shows about a 5 to 15% increase in strength, which you'll really notice on your big lifts like squats, bench press, and deadlifts.
So, we've spent a lot of time talking about the muscles, but now it's time to talk about the mind. This is where some of the most exciting, truly groundbreaking new research on creatine is happening, and it's taking creatine way beyond just the world of athletes into the realm of brain performance and healthy aging.
You know, your brain is an incredibly energy-hungry organ. It uses about 20% of your body's total energy. And just like your muscles, your brain uses ATP as its main fuel source. So it makes perfect sense that supplementing with creatine would have huge benefits for your brain. More and more research is showing it can help cut down on brain fog, improve your memory, and maybe most impressively, help keep your brain firing on all cylinders when you're stressed out or haven't gotten enough sleep. It's basically a powerful nootropic, giving your brain more energy to work with, which reduces mental fatigue and lets you operate at a higher level.
And this brings us to its incredible and maybe most important potential for healthy aging. One of the biggest challenges of getting older is sarcopenia, which is just age-related muscle loss. Losing muscle makes you frail, increases your risk of falling, and it's a major reason people lose their independence. By helping you hold on to that precious muscle mass, creatine can directly fight back against that decline. And its effects on the brain are even more profound. New research suggests that by giving more energy to brain cells, creatine may help slow down or reduce the risk of diseases like Parkinson's or MS. By supporting both your muscles and your brain, creatine is becoming a powerful tool for increasing what's called functional longevity, your ability to live not just a long life, but a long, healthy, active, and independent life. And this really captures the huge shift in how we're starting to think about this stuff. We are quickly moving away from seeing creatine as just something for bodybuilders. With all of these scientifically backed benefits for our energy, our brain function, and healthy aging, it's starting to look less like an optional sports supplement and more like a foundational nutrient for just about everybody.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? We started this journey looking at a supplement that was surrounded by fear and confusion, often mistaken for a dangerous steroid. And where do we end up? With a powerful, safe, and effective tool for supporting not just our muscles, but our brain health and our ability to live a long, healthy life. It just begs the question, what other common gym supplements have we totally misunderstood? Thank you for watching this explainer. To support the show, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide. We'll see you next time.